starting in chapter 6, then, he starts off by saying, these days, if an accepted scientific claim comes into conflict with an accepted non-scientific claim from another discipline, such as theology, which claim must be set aside. And if you've been into our comments section, you know, especially for people who haven't watched any other part other than maybe the clip or even the title that they're responding to, this is the claim that's being charged against us even here. So it's quite ironic that we're asking this question. Well, our culture, the scientific claim always wins. Why? Simply because it is scientific. Again, we've been through the big periods of history, and it seems like we've given each area a chance, but the scientific community keeps pumping out computer chips and rockets and other various doodads that we can physically hold. And so who can argue with progress that way? And so I think that tends to be a little bit why the model for that tends to win the day and is flashy for the studio audience there, is because it's able to produce, where if you're meeting even with your most famous philosopher, you maybe get a chalkboard, or if they make chalkboards anymore, or a whiteboard, and he may be able to do a little bit of P'ing and Q'ing and R and S'ing, but there's not a whole lot there that you may be able to.
I'm glad you added Q, R, and S to that.
Make it a little bit more difficult on us.
Yeah.
So then he goes on to say that appealing to science to back one's claims is a conversation stopper that settles the issue. And so here we end the book. It can be all done. We just need to know that as long as we define our terms well, science is the one that always wins out, and we can close our Bibles and just open up to your science textbook.
Right. Yeah. Not so fast, my good friend, right? So he's already suggested that scientism, as you mentioned, has a foundation and philosophical foundations to support it. And so it can't be the only, way to truth, right? The only true or only way to knowledge is whatever science says, because in order to defend the various philosophical underpinnings of science, you need philosophy to do that. So now he's looking at weak scientism, which says, okay, well, some stuff may be true, but in the end, science always wins if there's a conflict. That's the basic idea, right? He says weak scientism encourages us to look only at the authority of science, and here's the problem, and not to examine the actual arguments. And so weak scientism, he tells us, allows for truth apart from science, right? That's the idea of science. According to weak scientism, science isn't the only source of truth. There may be truth apart from science, and it grants, these other areas some minimal rational status without scientific support. But weak scientism still implies that science is by far the most authoritative sector of human knowledge, right? And so again, it doesn't get off the hook because it's suggesting, in a fight, science wins. Well,
right.
It still says scientism, right?
Right.